It's the Britannia, it's the Cox Fours event, the Open Cox Fours. Marlow, the locals, and about as far away as you can come from, it's Sydney Rowing Club from Australia. They say they're very fast. Let's see what they've got.
Yeah, once again, it's unknown. Someone from Australia racing someone that's kind of local. You don't know when they got in, adjusting to the time zone. It's really interesting seeing Sarah Cook. She's still struggling when she arrived in Lucerne in Europe on Friday. You know, the jet lag does play a massive part.
Yeah, well, these guys are pretty awake now, it looks like to me. Sydney, lovely, long, connected stroke. You can see how the legs are just picking up and levering away there, can't you? Beautiful rowing.
That's a really great shot there. Just that kind of connection, that hang and press.
Yeah, that's Ben Muffet in the stroke seat, 19 years old, from the Shore First State, leading his crew and setting that rhythm. We talked earlier today, Mark, about the role of the stroke, which is to sort of try to set the length, the cadence, and the raciness of the crew.
And it's about being as consistent as possible. That is the #1 rule as the stroke seat. Yeah, you have to hold that length, maintain it, and really set out for the kind of engine room sitting behind you that are going to really lay it down. And then the kind of bow person stand on top, keeping that hull buoyant, making sure that every single person does their job.
Yeah, that technical pattern being so important, the consistency, that's the rock upon which the rhythm of the crew is built. Some of the rhythm can come from the other athletes, how they kind of decide to sit back and hold it in at the finish to give it the length, but the stroke is the person who's setting the overall platform for the boat, I suppose. And sometimes it can take on a bit too much. If you're inexperienced, you're kind of driving. You actually need to have a little bit in hand so that you can put the accelerator down when you need it, don't you?
Yeah, and it's about relying on the people behind you to take that weight, if you want to call it that, making sure that you can stay on top, that if you do need to make steps or changes or rate changes or go through the gears at different points, you've got that elasticity in your legs to still keep kind of moving and kind of taking that cadence and rate up.
Yeah, so joining live down the course, we've got a race on our hands, haven't we? Wow. Sydney in the light blue on the left, but Marlow Rowing Club have not given up here. They really have held on and actually clawed their way back in here. Really impressed. Zara Berry, 22 years old, in the Cox's seat. She's got her nose in front now. That's really, the change in position there is really interesting, because obviously Sydney, it looked like Sydney were taking the advantage. Marlow kind of stuck them, was starting edging through. Yeah, I think we were seduced, weren't we, by that rhythm and that length from Sydney. We didn't see the Marlow crew creep through, and that can happen in the race, of course, as well. You can get into maybe a bit of a sense of complacency, and that's the moment when an opposition that's wily will attack you. And this is interesting. Once we come back to the importance of the Cox's role now, what messages are they giving the crew to keep them on top, keep them motivated? They're still in contact. They're coming up to the last kind of 600 meters. You know, what things have they planned or done in training to go through these gears to try and get back on terms with Marlow? We've got a real race on our hands as we come past the Remington Club here in the final third or so of the race. The Marlow crew in the red on the right, the Sydney crew in the light blue on the left. Marlow are rising, they're accelerating. Joel Evans, Jerry Anderson, John Bidishan and Kyle Brown, Cox by Zara Berry. They are really pushing through Sydney. Is it the jet lag and the tiredness in the legs? Did Marlow show us a little bit of sleepiness at the start? We don't know, but Marlow, well, they're taking it now. They're taking it by the scruff of the neck here. And they've moved out really, it's really interesting, moving out early to try and avoid that dash for cash at the end of the race where, you know, you take the cadence up, you both go for it. They've really kind of committed early to kind of move out and kind of eliminate that kind of push that may come from the crew beside them from Sydney. Well, that feels like a decisive move, Mark, doesn't it, there? So can Sydney respond? We can see the face of Henry Burton, 17 years old, in the Cox's seat. Sydney coached by Franz Imfeld, who was coaching there previously, came over and coached in Molesey, my club, and brilliantly coached there. He's won Henley medals before as a coach there and for Sydney as well. And while the crowd are on their feet, you can hear the local heroes, Marlow, but also we love to support our visitors from around the globe. And I was talking to a lot of Australians this morning. The first race was Mercantile winning, so the Australians are here in force to cheer the Sydney men on. It looks like the Marlow crew has continued to kind of maintain that push they did before they came to the enclosures, making sure they try and break that contact with the Sydney crew. Wow, So that's Marlow. What a race from them. They raised their game through and through and through. And they are looking to go through now as we see Sydney, Henry Pursehouse, Fraser Burdett, Pasha Bevan, Ben Muffet, coxed by Henry Burton. I'm afraid it's been a long trip for Sydney. Marlow rising through this race to take the win. You can hear the local crowd delighted by that, and a tough row for Sydney. We thought they got off really, really well, but they didn't have the legs and they didn't have the pace to respond to that Marlow push in the later stages of the race there. Decisive move by Marlow to go through.